Hey guys, welcome to BatStone. I am your host, Firebat. I'm here joined with my co-caster, Zalay.
Greetings.
I forgot it was flipped, so
this way. Yeah.
All right, so anyway, we have a really great show today for you guys. Lots of players. Let's throw up the brackets here, just kind of look through all the players. We just saw the player introduction. We have first up TidesofTime versus Ness, followed by Super JJ versus Tice, Kalento versus Chalky, Strifecrow versus Oskaka. A lot of A+ competition, a lot of familiar faces you may know. The first game though, you may not really recognize who these players. TidesofTime from more the 2014 era. He was WCA, he did well in WEC, he did pretty well in some Chinese events, was able to stack up like top 5 and highest earners of all of Hearthstone during the first 2 years of Hearthstone, and then kind of fell off the map a little bit, kind of went back to his roots with Dota, and then has been kind of out of the scene a little bit. But he's here now, and aren't you just really excited to see him play?
Heck yeah. I mean, he's also famous for sniffing a chair.
There we go, sniffing a chair. Can't beat that. Next up, we have Ness. He won the Open Qualifier, so arguably he had experience in this format. He has dealt with the most banned cards out of any player in this entire tournament. I would put him as the favorite to win just because of his prior experience playing the format. He's the only one that's won a tournament in this format. So
wow, 100% win rate in this format.
100% win rate. He has won all of the tournaments in this format, every single one of them.
He also brought Shaman, so I also like him to win.
Yeah. All right. So next up, let's take a look at these banned cards and try to introduce people. Why cards been banned, what's going on here. So first off, what we did was we pulled the community. We made a giant Google forum where you could submit any card you wanted to be banned. So you just voted on the cards you wanted. And it came out to, we got about 30,000, no, how many thousands? A lot of thousands. I think it was like
big number,
thousands of votes. And Yogsron came out as #1 banned, just a huge percentage of people voting for Yogsron, followed by Tuskar Totemic at #2, Fiery Warx at #3, which a lot of people were surprised by, but the community, they've said, Fiery Warx is really impressive to them. It's too strong. And then Barnes at #4, and then Call the Wild at #5. So that shook things up a little bit, and the Open Qualifier was run under the stipulation of those cards being banned. And then as we moved forward and then invited players, then we had all of the players also ban another card so that it would get even more wacky, and we'd be able to test the format even more and see how players' bans decisions affected the format. So we have Tice banning Doomhammer, Strifecrow banning Darkshire Councilman, Chalky banning Ice Block, Super JJ banning Innervate, Kalento banning Fandral, Oskaka banning Ragnaros the Firelord, TidesofTime banning Doomguard, and Ness banning Preparation. And these bans are for all of the players, so none of the players can use any of these 13 cards in their decks.
Right, so actually Ness hasn't played exactly this format, right? He played with the 5 community bans, but not the 8 player bans.
Yeah.
So it is a pretty level playing field. You can see with these bans, there's kind of a couple different mindsets. Like one idea is to ban cards that are just high variance, that are very random, like Yogsron, Tuskar Totemic, and Barnes. But some people are just banning cards that are just kind of too powerful, like Fiery Warx and Call the Wild. They're trying to not take the RNG out of Hearthstone, but just balance things differently, just shake up the meta, right?
Yeah, there's a bunch of different approaches you can go for it. It's going to be interesting to see what people do. We have a really big spread of classes for this tournament, which I'm really excited. We got some priest action in there, and even with Innervate banned, there is still some druid presence in the tournament. So I don't know what's up with that. Maybe
they still got Wild Growth, man.
Yeah, I guess. It seems like Druid has gotten the most taken away from it. So for the fact that some people are still playing Druid is pretty crazy. And then we have a little bit of Rogue sprinkled in there. About half the players are still playing Warrior with Fiery Warx gone, which is absolutely nuts. But anyway, for the first match, TidesofTime versus Ness. TidesofTime will be playing Rogue, Warrior, Hunter, and Priest. And Ness will be playing Shaman, Warrior, Paladin, and Mage. And we do have the bans in. The bans, Ness's Shaman has been banned, and TidesofTime's Warrior has been banned. So Rogue, Hunter, Priest for TidesofTime up against Warrior, Paladin, Mage for Ness.
Zero overlap after the ban. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they've ended up with the same sort of classes at the end of it. So anyway, let's just get into the game, see what's going on there. And I'm excited to see what comes up. What interesting
thing. Yeah.
I'm really interested about his Rogue. It's definitely no preparation in the Rogue. Maybe some sort of face Rogue going on. Something
That seems like the way to do it, right? Like there's just definitely no gadget.
Mm-hmm. You think it'd be running like Deadly Fork? Is that card going to make an appearance?
I could see it as a one of. I think that card was definitely underrated by the community before they got a chance to play with it. I don't think it's a good card because of just how it doesn't fit that well in Rogue. But I think it's sort of a good card if you could play it in other classes. I would like it.
All right. And here we go. You can see that we got the classes displayed there. Ness is on the bottom, Tides of Time on the looking stunning as ever. We have the Hunter on the top for Tides of Time up against the Mage from Ness. Mage is a class that I expect to be quite powerful in this format.
Have to agree. It didn't lose much. It lost Ice Block, which doesn't really affect this. Wow, Tides really nailed that mulligan. He went from a bunch of garbage to a bunch of early game stuff. But Ness has a good hand too, so
yeah, this
might be an even early game.
And Ness is definitely going to be pitching back this Archmage Antonidas. So the question is, do you even keep Book here? A lot of arguments been going around. Is Book a turn one play that's actually worth playing? Or do you want to just save it more for just the spell generation later on?
I think it's a turn one. I think a 1/1 is at its strongest on turn one. I think I would keep it. Okay. Especially considering that I probably want to keep Cult Sorcerer and Arcane Blast, so I'm not mulliganing that many cards to find the Mana Orb. I'd much rather have Babbling Book on one than nothing. And I probably don't want to coin 2 on one, although I don't play a lot of Tempo Mage. So yeah, I agree with this mulligan from both players.
So Hunter has lost Call of the Wilds. That's something that's really big here. Tides of Time, while Call of the Wild has been removed from the format, other than that, what has Hunter really lost? That's it, right?
I believe that's it, unless you count Yogg or something.
So Call of the Wild lists Hunter.
Kona Cold, how good is that against Hunter?
Well, you got to assume it's a face hunter, right? Is some sort of aggressive.
Because there's no Call of the Wild, sure.
Yeah, no Call of the Wild. You got to be faster than Call of the Wild. So
I imagine Argent Squire.
Yeah, I imagine Kona Cold is going to be really, really good. Like, just able to stop some of these low health, aggressive minions that Tides of Time surely is going to be packing into his deck.
Yes. Face hunter should have a bunch of 1 health stuff. Argent Horse Rider comes to mind.
I like just pinging here from Ness. I think
we're pinging the Argent Squire, right?
Oh yeah, I like just slow playing it, just taking your time, being gentle with it. You got plenty of time to get these Cult Sorcerers out for value with each of the Arcane Blasts. Like next turn, you go Cult Sorcerer, Arcane Blast, Animal Companion. Yeah, should be I think the train of logic there, and then the following turn you can go Cult Sorcerer, Arcane Blast, something else. So yeah, I think going slow is the better approach.
And Ness agrees. Tempo Mage kind of often does play that sort of setup waiting game combo-y thing. Despite the name Tempo, it a lot of times does kind of just hold back, play it slow in the early game, try and get its cards still. And this is a big part of why, right?
Yeah.
Arcane Blast is a lot more powerful when it's doing 4 than 2 or 6, something crazy like that.
Even still, I think we're still setting up and waiting. I think we're going to ping one of the grandmothers and just kind of keep being patient, get towards those bigger Flame Waker turns, those bigger...
So if we do Flame Waker coin, it probably pops 1, maybe both grandmas, and we can Arcane Blast one of the 3/2s, and then we're probably going to be staring down a 3/2 at the end of that chain of events, I would guess. There's some chance to full clear.
Is it worth it? What if you leave up a 3/2 and then he Houndmasters it? And you gotta imagine the deck running 2 grandmothers runs Houndmaster. Like you have to assume that. So your fear here is that gamble worth it in the face of a potential Houndmaster? And that's a really scary decision to make. Is when do you pull the trigger here? Nessa's got to figure it out.
Is there any chance you ping face to take less damage from a 3? Or do you think it's definitely worth taking the damage to get closer towards going for a 3/2?
He decides he only wants one of the Cult Sorcerers, yeah. So he gets a little bit punished for this play. He could have went with a more steady clear up, but he decided 2 Cult Masters isn't something he needs, and he doesn't expect these hyenas to be here. That's not a card you normally see in Hunter, and it's a twist Tides of Time has brought the banned cards have allowed the early game to be a little bit weaker, and that's created this sort of window for the hyena to take over a little bit. And holy crap, is it taking over this board?
2 mana 6/4 with upside's a pretty good card. I would play that in literally every deck.
Yeah. But honestly, Ness isn't in too bad of a spot. Actually,
pretty bad.
Yeah,
because when you kill the first hyena, the second one grows. So we can't just Cult Sorcerer or Blast. That doesn't fit the big boys.
He might.
Well, he's got to try, right?
I think he's got to use the missiles. Yeah.
Yeah.
He could have went for Kona Cold to try and set it up.
Right. That's true.
All right. He believes in the heart of the missiles, though. He's got 4 missiles.
He's got this. Yeah, this is easy.
Unless it kills one of the ones first.
You got to sequence. Ooh, not quite. I was gonna say you got to sequence the order correctly on which one you kill first, but all right. Well, Kona Cold, like you said, working out pretty well against Hunter. Not exactly for the, but
Yeah, not too
it's
bad.
too bad.
Couldn't combine the spell power with it, unfortunately. But Babbling Book doing quite a bit of good work there. The Tundra Rhino is still alive though, so beast draw from Tides of Time here, like a high main or something, would have been nuts.
Yeah.
Instead, now he's got this Unleash the Hound, clogging his hand a little
Ness
bit.
is gonna
so he can't
fist
empty
pump.
the quick shot.
He
Yeah,
sees no high main. He's like, yas.
gotta feel good about that for sure. No development of anything, honestly. So, oh, that is just ugly for Tides of Time. Not the turn you
Yeah.
wanted for sure. And he's
Tempo
starting to run out of
abusive.
cards.
Man, the tempo abusive is a whole bunch of feels bad man against tempo mage because there's not just the ping, but also, you know, arcane missiles and flame waker, or maybe another Kona Cold. Then Frost that way this time.
Frost is not so bad. Tempo Mage gonna tempo out the
Flame waker,
Flame
that's
Waker.
interesting. I guess he figures he's going to play that portal next turn. But you could read into Tides' hand based on how weak the last turn was. You know, there's removal in Tides' hand, so the Flame
Yeah.
Waker's not going to make it.
Yeah, it is a bit interesting there.
Might have
I
gone
think
for
it-
Thalnos instead.
I think he got a little bit cocky with how far he's getting ahead on board and maybe played that one a little too quickly. There is still potential. You know, Hunter decks oftentimes have how high curve Tides of Time's deck is going. If he's able to, you know, reestablish or continue just the flow of cards going, he could still be in this for sure, even though he is kind of top decking against Ness's 4 cards.
The spots. Oh wow, Fen Creeper's pretty good.
Yeah, taunts are good against Face Hunter. That is for sure. Oh, the perfect animal companion
Holy
roll.
cow!
Huffer is just going to demolish that Fen Creeper, and the Sergeant's going to be able to get in there for a little bit more chip damage. And Ness is kind of drawing blank here. He keeps drawing these burn spells that aren't really that great, but they are going to allow him to keep removing Tides of Time's minions. This is the point in Hunter where when they draw Call of the Wild, they win.
But not in this format.
Not in this
tournament.
format, yeah.
BatStone, Hearthstone's different. They don't just skamazi you with that one anymore.
Yeah, they have to win honestly. They have to somehow fight for the board, you know, the traditional way. They can't just Call the Wild and win at this stage of the game.
Or maybe they can just chip away and kill you with a couple burn draws.
Oh yeah, unless,
Like
unless
good
you're able
old Hunter.
to take care of them fast enough. So we'll have to see.
Oh, we got this Frost Nova Ice Lance combo to deal 5 to that abusive Sergeant.
Yeah,
Maybe
Yes.
that's not the play.
he's got to be thinking about whether he wants to trade in that Thalnos for it. They can do a little bit more damage. Tides of Time still at 28 health. He's gonna need to get a faster clock than this. Otherwise, Tides of Time's just gonna kill him. 6
Oh, wow,
damage
that's
in
a
hand
good
already.
draw.
3 turns, Tides of Time's gonna have lethal.
So, do we want to draw a card this turn?
Oh yeah, we want to draw a card this turn. Yeah, get closer to a bow. Any sort of, you know, second kill command, unleash the Hounds, explosive
agree.
trap if it's in there. Like,
The argument for not drawing a card is just that you could draw a beast and get a command. It's like an extra steady shot. It's like a whole extra turn. But drawing a card is really good.
yeah, he's got 3 mana left to play it. Most of the cards in kind of Face Hunter Edex cost about 3.
Oh,
It's
wow.
a 4 mana card,
Punished
unfortunately.
for steady shotting first, sequencing Failfish.
Yeah, even still, I think you should steady shot though, like overplaying the Infested Wolf, like
I don't know, man.
guaranteed damage. You saw your mage opponent do nothing with their like removal for days and freezes and all sorts of garbage in their hand. So, and we see Ness playing around the bow here by ice lancing the face. I'm gonna try and make sure that there's less outs for Tides of Time to kill him. Tides of Time is just gonna try and set up lethal here. Ness has got 5-6 damage present with the hero power and double spell power on the board. So a fireball wouldn't be enough to do it.
Looking
With
for
the
Ice
Ballast
Block.
Tome, unable to find ice block. It's
Lost
as if
the
it were
Ice Block.
banned.
Maybe he doesn't try to pop it. So I think Tides would have had lethal a turn sooner if he could go for that quick shot draw, right?
Correct. He would have had lethal as turn sooner. But the upside is you could potentially
Worth.
get things that cost enough mana that you can play, and then your opponent has to kill that. So they're being able to set up lethal while they're killing that goes down to like impossible, and then you're able to win them out. So yeah, Hunter without Call of the Wild, still able to just grind the opponent down, just able to, you know, control the board enough, get ahead enough on board in the beginning to just ride out those hero powers to victory.
Seeing Ness's deck list, it's not too shocking that that's the outcome. We saw Kabbalist Tome, we saw cards that are going to get you punished by that. The inevitability of steady shot. It's coming for you. You're going to die if you don't put a clock on the Hunter.
Yeah, the mage deck just a little bit too slow for the, I guess we call it like a hybrid hunter, I'd say. It's got the Hound Beast Face Hunter that's just trying to take advantage of the lack of Fiery War-X and stuff like that to, get Scavenging Hyenas out there and buff them up. Interesting sort of deck from Tides of Time. So Tides of Time still remaining in his pool of decks is Rogue and Priest.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, BatStone, Hearthstone differently.
Yeah, it's going really different. So it'll be interesting to see when we get into the game which of those he goes with. And Ness, of course, still has that mage he has to try and get a win with, and then also has Paladin and Warrior. And Ness in the open qualifiers played all of the slowest decks that you could possibly think of. They're just extremely control-heavy, super slow decks. And I believe we're going to have something similar here with his class selection as it be with Warrior Paladin. So
sweet. I like slow decks.
Slow decks suck, man. Smork all the way.
No, kill them all, Warrior. We're not here to win. We're here to make the other guy lose. Nice. Ness has got that Murloc Paladin. Did that deck lose anything? Nothing, right?
Nothing. He's probably playing card for card, just classic Murloc Paladin. It hasn't lost anything, so...
Well, you could still try to adjust to the new meta. There's no Innervate. Maybe that somehow changes things.
Less Aldor Peacekeeper sort of effects required, so can maybe squeeze in some other cards. Maybe extra draw just works out, so you can OTK some of these priests that you're expecting a little bit easier.
He's probably going to do just fine against either way.
I mean, sometimes...
Aldor's good against priest, right? Because it's a way to sort of shut down the Blade Master without necessarily killing it, so they can't resurrect it. Okay.
Yeah, we see the... this is N'Zoth Paladin, Murloc Paladin, I think, because we got Sylvanas and Karen in there. So
well, you were saying full greed, right?
Yeah, he likes going full greed. This Mind Vision could get huge value here. It's got a 50-50.
You want to Mind Vision the anything can happen. That's how you win, right?
True, yeah. He should save that Mind Vision for anything.
Well, because the later in the game, the less mulligan cards are in hand, and the more okay.
More likely for anything to happen. But he goes for it now, is able to get Karen, which isn't a... Gives him a little bit of information about the deck. Now he's assuming it's N'Zoth Paladin. Little does he know it's Murloc N'Zoth Paladin.
Oh my god, he has Purify. He's probably got Barnes, right? Purify that Barnes minion.
You can't play Barnes. Barnes is banned from the format.
It's gone!
I don't know what has made Purify better in this format, but it's there. It'll be interesting to see what Tides of Time is doing with it and why that is in the deck.
Got something cooking.
Yeah, there's definitely a plan, but currently Purify synergizes with cards in his hand.
Now the double War Leader, this is where things get powerful. 3-mana 5/4s are actually...
Yeah, holy smokes!
Feels a bit like Shaman. That rate.
Yeah, it really does. He's just cooking him. And he's just got a big sword to play after this. But Tides of Time able to use the Priest of the Feast here. Shout out to Osaka. Healing him.
Healing up.
You could purify that. Draw a card.
The Blaze!
R.I.P. Priest.
This is kind of an interesting turn.
I mean, you gotta kill it, right?
Maybe not. Yeah, it's not interesting.
It's not interesting. It's just... Ness is just gonna control the board for the rest of the game, try and kill every single... Eventually, as long as he's not dead, his deck wins by playing Anything Can Happen, dealing, about 12 damage or whatever, then playing the second Anything Can Happen and dealing 30 to 32 damage in one turn, killing the priest opponent from full health. So even though he has this great aggressive start, I think he should, play patiently, fall back and play, the passive game plan of killing him with Anything, because it's an Anything deck, instead of just trying to rush him down with Anything Paladin. You're not an aggro Paladin, just chill, control the board.
But you're not talking about holding back Karen to play around Entomb or anything, right? You still just slam it.
Oh, you still slam the Karen for sure. If they have Entomb, they're going to Entomb the War Leaders.
Yeah.
So if that could be awkward for you, so I'd rather just play it.
So Ness is a prohibitive matchup favorite here. How can Tides steal it? Maybe he draws the other Mind Vision, hits that Anything Can Happen, and plays it in responses to Ness and gets lethal that way. Maybe he has a Thought Steal for Anything Can Happen. Yeah. Exactly. Sometimes you can Entomb all the War Leaders, but we already saw one die, so that's probably not going to work out.
Yeah, you can't do that win condition of the Entombing both War Leaders anymore. So his only win condition at this point is rushing him down before he can play Anything Can Happen, which seems unlikely given the current board state. So now he has to rely on the other win condition, which is either Thought Steal and Anything Can Happen, which they're both in the hand, so he has to find the second Mind Vision, and it has to hit exactly Anything Can Happen. Then Ness has to play one Anything Can Happen and have it sit on the table and then Tides of Time can counter anything can happen for massive, massive damage.
So you'll notice Firebat's plan for Tides to win this game involved a lot of words, meaning it's pretty complicated and therefore not that likely to happen.
Yeah, it's really complicated, relies on good play, and relies on getting lucky.
Yeah.
Just very, very unlikely to happen. And we see Ness is trying to set up...
slamming it.
Just slamming face. Like, he's gotten such a huge board lead already against the Priest. The Priest's just... It seems like almost every card in Tides of Time's hand has done basically nothing this whole game. So... And Ness has just been snowballing this board advantage with a slow control deck that shouldn't be snowballing board advantage, and able to just punch face and kill the Priest out that way.
Well, Ness got like the god aggressive draw, right? Like it was as good as it gets. Loot Hoarder into War Leader into True Silver into I don't remember what turn 5 was. Karen and Sylvanas, like just all of it.
Yeah.
On curve, ready to go.
Tides of Time can be just purifying his own Karen here if he really wanted to be able to make sure that it can't be stolen.
All right. I don't know about that play.
Yeah. I mean, there aren't very good options here.
I like flash healing my own face. We're looking for some kind of clear if we can figure it out, right? With this Alchemy, the circle. But man, it's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Paladin's just bum rushing. Control Paladin is just bum rushing the Priest. That's how reactive and awkward Tides' hand has been.
Yeah. He's got this Alchemy that he keeps picking up, but something is gonna get stolen here. He's gonna pop the Karen and then trade and then circle into the Sylvanas. Okay. There's still gonna be a Karen left on the field, potentially 2. And that's going to give Ness guaranteed lethal.
Yep. I liked Ness's decision making on the previous turn with regards to hitting with the True Silver and also with when he thought about hitting with the True Silver. He didn't play the Sylvanas and then think about hitting with the True Silver. He thought about hitting with the True Silver and he knew he was going to play the Sylvanas, right? That was guaranteed. But instead of doing the obvious play first and then thinking about the True Silver, he kind of disguised what he was thinking about. By not playing the Sylvanas first.
Yeah, it's definitely something that you're going to want to do when people are trying to pick up on any little clues about your hand that they pick up on is make sure you plan out your whole turn and then do it. Don't think about it in parts because it just gives away that you have more things that you have to think about and more things that you could do. So yeah, pretty well played there by Ness. Tides of Time didn't really get much action going on there. Maybe Priest, even with all these banned cards, isn't very great. It's we're gonna have to see. He's gonna be playing it again because it is Conquest. He has to get a win with it. So this Purify Priest needs to get a win somewhere. And
he had some powerful stuff going on. Like if he had a little bit more time, he might have resurrected Karen off from the Mind Vision.
Okay.
That's powerful, Res. Like 5 mana, 3/4 plus Karen. Whew. I like that.
Well, let's get into the game, and hopefully we get to see the Priest again, whenever. Maybe. I don't I don't think the Priest is going to get a win. I think Priest is still going to be bad in this format. And Tides of Time is switching his deck choice over to the Rogue now instead of the Priest. And Ness is coming back with the Mage that we've already seen. It is a really slow tempo Mage deck. We see Emperor Thorsan in there. It had the double Kabbalist Tomes before as well. So really greedy. Going to be super effective against control decks, but not very effective against the bum rushy decks, as we saw, demonstrated by how it went up against the Face Hunter.
Yep. But I think I've seen this kind of deck streamed quite a bit by Asmodai recently. He's been having pretty good results with it on ladder. Seen him spending a lot of time in top 10 Legend.
Yeah, I think he hit #1 with it as well, right?
Yeah, he did actually, and he just kept queuing like a god. All right, so Mana Worm on turn 1 seems good, or?
Oh yeah, definitely Mana Worm on turn 1. That is how this deck is able to get wins, is you get so far ahead from these early drops, Mana Worm and whatnot, that then you can do the slow, greedy route and just win anyway. So you're able to beat aggro with this draw and beat control with any draw. So that is where
hopefully you just beat any. Yeah. So Backstab Dagger, we should kill this, right?
Oh, you always want to kill Mana Worm. That guy gets real big, real fast. I prioritize it as #1 thing that you want to kill. So yeah, I like taking the time here to just slice and dice that guy up.
Yeah. That Argent Squire is a really awkward draw. It would have been so good on turn 1 for Tide. but now it's just like a low impact. I mean, I guess it's good for turn 3. Maybe it's good anyways.
Yeah, you're going to be able to use it to combo your Eviscerate or draw a second backstab and then just play out a 2-drop and a 1-drop. That's a pretty effect there. Goes with the
you like Loot Hoarder over Huckster? I think I like the Huckster that turn. It makes ping less effective for the turn. Like, the Loot Hoarder kind of sticks out as a vulnerability to ping this turn.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would have went with the Huckster as well, but I guess he just wants more, good cards.
Cards from his deck,
like,
yeah.
Yeah, like a 4-drop or something. We don't really know what's in his deck. He's got no operations in his. So maybe he does have, a curve of minions he's looking to try and hit and really wants to find something from his deck to sort of fill that out.
Pillager.
Yeah, Tomb Pillager would probably be a good one. Do you play Tomb Pillager with Gadget gone? Do you have enough draw in Rogue to support that?
I'm going to say yes, because I was playing with Amnesiac like just the other day, and he had 2 there, and he cut Gadget.
All right.
So, still playing Preps, obviously, because that card's just good.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how TidesofTime, what direction he's going with the Preps gone here. And for this turn for Ness, he's got,
I like pinging the Loot Hoarder. I don't think we have to do anything.
Yeah.
Stuff generally gets better if we wait. We don't really have a whole lot to do next turn, so why use resources this turn?
Mm-hmm. It's the same sort of thing with the Hunter game is how it worked out, right? Like the early turns of Temple Mages always end up being like pass it and you have that one huge swing turn where you take back the board and do a whole bunch of crazy stuff.
Yeah, I like Ness's chances a little better than the Hunter game. He does have 2 Firelens portals, so that's like, one extra big dude. Yeah. And the Firelens portal was like minimal effectiveness last game. Like the Fen Creeper was good, but it was just hitting like a 2-1, so we weren't getting value off both halves.
Yeah. And the Fen Creeper got Huffer smashed.
Ice Bear should be really good in this matchup, right?
Yeah, if it is some sort of aggressive rogue, which it does seem to be some sort of aggressive rogue, there could be like a N'Zoth at the top end of this, though. Which then, if they go for the
Argent
long
Square,
game,
I don't buy it.
I don't know. It might be. It doesn't seem terrible. TidesofTime makes some weird decks, man. Did you like 2014? His decks for like the BlizzCon qualifier, those were out there. So
he's looking at playing something like missiles to reduce damage with a ping instead of playing this ice barrier. That's what's on his mind, right? He's like, I could Cult Sorcerer missiles, I could missiles ping, I could ice barrier. What do you think?
I definitely do not like Cult Sorcerer's missiles. I think you can get much more value out of those cards at a later stage. So I probably would have went barrier there over the ping personally, but I do understand where he's going with the ping. He's saying like, I don't have anything to do next turn. I'm probably gonna be barrier pinging next turn. So let's, just set up to be able to use the mana. He's playing even slower this game. So just taking the maximum slow route, trying to get efficiency out of his cards, trying to get efficiency out of his hero power and take minimal damage.
I'm worried about playing it slow against a rogue with Argent Squire that we know doesn't have prep. I wonder if we need to like use our cards immediately, get value out of them before we die, kind of thing. Yeah. This Raptor and Azure Drake for TidesofTime are looking very effective. A couple turns ago, I didn't like Tides' chance too much, but with those draws, things are changing. Yeah,
Tides is definitely going to be able to keep the flow of cards going. He's going to be getting like mage burn spells potentially, or useless secrets depending on how the Huckster chooses to treat him. Ooh, that is kind of a double-edged sword to play against Tempo Mage.
So Ness here got rewarded for saving the Cult on the previous turn. Cult Sorcerer with Arcane Blast is just such strong synergy. It's incredible.
Yeah, really, really good. Good combination of cards. And now that the Cult Sorcerer's out there, he's throwing out the missiles, and it gets a full.
Yeah. Nails it. Easy. Oh my God, Pyroblast. Who needs this off?
Pyroblast and Aggro Rogue. It's just absolutely nuts. Oh, that's deadly poison. I mean, at least TidesofTime can play his.
Yeah, it combos stuff, right? It's not that useless.
Yeah, and Ness can't even proc Flamewaker with Deadly Poison because he doesn't have a weapon up, but Firelands Portal is a hell of a curve.
Pretty big.
Yeah.
Your average 5 drops right around 5/5, so getting 5/6 is significantly better.
But Azure Drake giving TidesofTime the spell power to make quick work of that, able to continue pushing some little chip damage. He's pretty close to being able to just finish the game out with a blast. Just needs to find 10 more damage somehow. Ooh, corrupted Healbot. Ness's Firelands Portal's been rolling pretty good.
Well, I mean, I think the drawback of healing the rogue is potentially very significant, right?
Yeah, I mean,
although maybe not the way this game's playing out. Maybe not the way Ness's deck is, but
Yeah, if he was like more the burn-oriented tempo mage, but he's got double Cabalist Tome, Emperor, Antonidas. So if he's able to stabilize and Tides of Time doesn't have N'Zoth in his deck, for example, then Ness is just going to win the game. So I think at this point, especially with the way the Firelands portal has rolled, he should be taking it, the super, super slow approach.
Now check this out. What if, you know how Ness likes to build his deck super greedy? What if he's got a Medivh in there? Then maybe he could get some deadly poison value.
Is that even worth it, though, at the end of the day?
No.
Right? I didn't think so. It's like, you get a 1-drop. You want to be saving that for bigger spells.
It's a good meme, though.
That Journey from Below picked up some sick value for Tides here.
Look at all this value in Ness's hand. Like, he just doesn't have time to play these cards before he dies.
Yeah, he's got to figure out some way to clear up the board at least a little bit.
That turn where he pinged the Thalnos, maybe he could have played Barrier instead, and he'd be pretty happy to have that extra 3 mana spent at this point, now that we have to see Arcane Intellect and Cabalist Tome in hand. Like, having a ping in, it's not worth having cast that Ice Barrier. We have to deal with Tides' board because our life total goes down and not up, but it's tough to deal with because those death rattles. Maybe he goes for a Smork plan. He just picked up some more burn. He's got 12 in hand, 6 on board.
But he's got to heal him for 8, though.
That's only if it dies.
That's only... The Smork plan seems kind of questionable.
Okay, so he's fireballing that 5/5, or... I did not expect this. Alright, so Ness is committing to a defensive game. Good both considering the slow nature of his deck and the aggressive nature of Tides' hand with that Pyroblast. So it's good decision making by Ness to try and slow it down and survive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it seems the way that his deck is built is just to be super slow. So I think it's the right call there to go with your deck's game plan. And even the Firelands portal is telling him, Ness, man, slow down, control the board.
Yeah. We call it Tempo Mage, but it's kind of a control mage.
It definitely is somewhat of a control mage.
That can kill you with Mana Worms sometimes. It's a control mage that steals some wins here and there.
Yeah, control mage 90% of the times, but sometimes it's having a bad day. Just wants to punch you in the face.
Man, this is kind of an intimidating board from Rogue. Flame Strike Ping would clean up most of it, but there is no Flame Strike.
Ooh, Arcanist
now that card, it's a terrible Maelstrom portal, but it's still really good with spell damage.
Yeah,
it's just really good here.
It's not too bad. If you only was able to pick off the Loot Hoarder, and then with the ping can pick off the SI7 agent, so there's still 6 power facing you down. Ooh, that Frostbolt. Maybe take out the 4/5 now instead of the SI7 agent.
I think the 4/5 is death rattling a 5/5.
Oh yeah, probably not then. That'll just add more.
That might not be ideal.
No. So Tides of Time looking at 7 damage plus the Pyroblast, giving him 17, so just not quite enough to finish it off, but he's getting pretty close. Is he able to set up lethal this turn? He's got 6, 7, 8, 9 damage he can push, so he's 1 off being able to set up lethal for the next turn with the dagger, but I still think you just go for it, right? Just SI7 the face and get in there. Sap Desert Drake for sure.
Doesn't have time for it.
Yeah, and
Ness is wincing at that play. He's like, this is not good for my hand.
Yeah, no. He's got all the value in the world, but not enough time to really translate it into tempo and get it on the board. He's just going to be beaten down by these Raptors and these Death Rattles from the Death Rattle Rogue here from Tides of Time that is got a Pyroblast.
Yeah, he needs to find some Frost Novas off of Babbling Book or Cabalist Tome, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think you open with Babbling Book so you can have Blizzard available to you, and then you play Cabalist Tome for the other freeze effects.
Are we going to do something like Flame Waker, Fireball to Azure Drake?
No, there's no way you get the clear there, even with the freeze going in, and Arcane Intellect is not good enough.
Yeah, that's the opposite of what you need. You've got plenty of value. You need time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every random card just keeps giving him more value. He's going with Azure Drake instead of Cabalist Tome here. Just feels he needs the 4/4 presence on the field. Missiles, is that going to be enough to stop him from that? Well, he doesn't know about the Pyroblast is the thing.
Yeah, he's dead, but
yeah,
he doesn't know it.
He's just
here and try.
That's why he's not going for the most defensive play possible, because he's assuming that the random card generated is just some dead card that Tides of Time couldn't play. When
Or
really it's been the
that's
Pyroblast.
Pyro, yeah.
Yeah.
The Pyro is a nice high roll.
Those were the options for it to be, right? It could either be a Pyroblast, or it could be some useless card that Tides of Time had, like, it isn't ever going to be able to play. And Ness must have thought, if it's Pyroblast and I take the ultra defensive play, there's pretty much no chance I win. If it's not Pyroblast, then I play this way, then I have a chance I can actually win the game. So that's why you went with the line of the Azure Drake instead of going for the Hail Mary Kabbalist Tome to try and find, Frost Nova or Ice Block there, because he was just saying, if it's Pyroblast, you got me. So I'm going to try and win in the instances where it's not Pyroblast. So I think it is good play from both players there. Tides of Time able to get his Rogue win on the board. So now he just has to figure out a way to get the victory with that Priest deck.
And here it gets challenging.
Yeah.
So what does he get to play against with the Priest? He gets 2 more games, right?
Mm-hmm. He's got Ness still has to win with this Mage, which a lot of people were saying Tempo Mage going to be the best deck in the format. Struggling a little bit. It's gotten all of Ness's losses so far, and then Ness still has to win with the Warrior, which we have not seen yet. So it could be Dragon Warrior, Control Warrior without War Axes. It could be anything really. So
yeah, I don't know what Warrior played when you don't have War Axe. I think Dragon Warrior might suffer more from the loss of War Axe than a Control Warrior, right? Because if you have Brawl, the War Axe doesn't matter as much, whereas Dragon Warrior is just trying to get ahead on board early and just snowball that lead. So the Fire War Axe is like more critical to that game plan than a Control deck, right?
Who knows? Hopefully we get to find out. Let's get in there and see. Nope, it's going to be the Mage again from Ness. He's kind of trying to conceal information, I believe, for future opponents. So let's say Tides of Time wins this game, then Ness's Warrior will have never been revealed. So no one will know if it's Dragon Warrior, Control Warrior, Hybrid Warrior, if he's cheating and putting Fiery War Axe in there. Like, no one will know what's going on.
Is this tournament single limb?
This tournament is single limb, so yeah, that does not apply.
Okay. Good talk. Good talk.
Good catch there.
Yeah, Coin Blade Master, Circle of Healing, pretty good for Tides.
Oh, yeah, and then you got the Onyx Bishop to follow it up, too. You've seen how slow this Tempo Mage has been. You got to be kind of worried about the potential Mana Worm start blowout, so maybe you just hold on to Excavated Evil so you can coin Excavated Evil. But honestly, Coin Injured Blade Master Circle is pretty good against.
The Blade Master will figure it out, right?
Yeah, it's a 4/7. It'll get the job done.
Yeah, so we're keeping the 3 on the right as Tides of Time and as Ness. We'd probably keep nothing.
Yeah, probably keep nothing. All of that seems pretty weak. You're just looking for 3/2s, I think. But he keeps Arcane Intellect.
That's fair. He's playing against Priest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why not draw some cards?
Yeah, he's expecting them not to have Coin Injured Blade Master Circle. So,
well, at least hoping, right? Like,
yeah.
Sometimes they get you.
Sometimes they get you.
Does he coin the Blade Master? Because if he saves the coin, then he can coin out the Onyx Bishop much sooner.
Okay, and then save the Circle of Healing potentially. I don't know. Against Tempo Mage, you might just want to get out there. It's kind of an aggressive deck.
Right, they might hurt you. Yeah, this 3/2 is looking pretty scary if you don't coin Master.
Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe you just get it out there and just start dealing with it immediately.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. So this is kind of all right. Well, Tides is feeling patient. I can respect it.
Now he gets to save the circle for potentially board clears or healing other things or drawing cards with Dorshire Cleric. So there are advantages to it. So this way now he can just drop it out there and not circle, and then be able to coin the bishop out the following turn and bring back the. Or we can circle anyway. Now
he's figuring it's still gonna die because there's
a
Cult Sorcerer, right? Like Temple Mage is really good at dealing 7. Just Fireball does it. Arcane Blast Trade does it. I like that decision from Tides.
So it just impedes the Mage from playing a 4-drop that turn, I guess.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah. Now he's able to get another one out. It's not too bad. I mean, it's really good.
His decision to save the coin is really paying off.
Yeah, definitely. Able to just bomb train as Priest in the early game.
So if we Cult Sorcerer, Arcane Explosion, and Arcane Missiles, it's an AoE for 3 and then, 5 missiles? So we're probably clearing the Bishop, and we're almost certainly not clearing the Blade Master. Technically, you could full clear if you're just a god and never hit face. The odds of that happening are
really
roughly
low.
2/3 to the 5th power. Roughly, it's not quite that.
I think
it's not likely.
It might be like a book turn, and then try and set up for an Emperor the following turn, and then do a big explosion out of the board. I don't know. I don't know how patient you want to, like, how explosive do you have to be against Priest, right? Like, how much is he really going to snowball this board? Is he going to snowball things that you can AoE? What minions are you expecting to come up against? So I think that it's so hard to play Tempo Mage in a meta game where you don't know what your opponent's minions are, right? Like,
it's hard to play even if you do know what their minions are. Like, it's just this is interesting. He trades first. He loses the spell damage, but he gets the guarantee that he's not overkilling the Blade Master with an extra missile.
Yeah, he's able to clean up the board quite efficiently there. I guess he's just assuming that, you know, Priest probably doesn't play a lot of minions. They probably play a lot of spells, and is going to have one of those heal pass Priest turns. But unfortunately for Ness, it was not one of those turns for Tides of Time, so able to develop a new minion out on the board.
I'm a little surprised. I thought he was going to be happy to play Emperor because... But I guess a lot of times Emperor just dies to a death or an entomb or something like that, so maybe he just wants to really stack his hand before he gets that Emperor discount.
Yeah, save for the Archmage Antonitis, what have you, so...
So do you save the Mana Worm, don't give the Shifting Shade a free kill on it?
Is it getting better later? Probably, I guess.
Yeah, if you play a Mirror Images, or if you have, like, threat in the same turn.
Okay.
Or also if you play it on a turn with spells, so it has more attacks, so it's just, like, doing a little bit more when he gets free killed.
Sure, I can see it. And
this Purify is going to be good anytime now. Don't worry, guys.
Yeah, why is that in the deck? What is going on with that?
Maybe he's got a rag in there. He just wants to purify it once in a while.
It just doesn't even make any sense.
He's got rag for the resurrect memes, and he just wants to purify it to his face sometimes. Oh, Onyx Bishop on both sides this game.
All right, not too bad. I mean, not too good.
No, it's pretty bad.
The only thing worse is like the 2/3, right? There's a 3/3 faceless manipulator.
I don't know what the worst 5-drops are.
It's the the Murloc is a 6-drop. It's probably faceless, right? There might be like a 2/2 or something even smaller, but I can't think of it right now.
So like here, for instance, the Mana Worm is better than it was last time already.
Sure, yeah, you can play the Mana Worms and the Sorcerer's Apprentice if you're not too afraid of AoE.
You play the Mana Worms and the Emperor if you...
I think he's waiting for that Archmage Antonitis, man.
I see.
The infinite fireballs.
So he's going to go Mana Worm, Sorcerer's Apprentice, Arcane Intellect, or maybe skip the girl. He's thinking it through. This is a tough turn. Yeah. This is the thing about Tempo Mage. It's really not that easy of a deck, despite it being a somewhat aggressive deck that can definitely have stupid easy wins.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of games play out like this, where you have these mid to late games and just a million decisions to make.
Yeah, especially when you're playing the more control-y variants with the slower cards like tomes and whatnot. Like, balancing all of that RNG and trying to figure out what is going on is definitely a pain.
Like, playing one Mana Worm, then Arcane Intellect, that is not an obvious...
Yeah, like, why wouldn't he play the second one, you know? And
he did the math on what he was drawing off the Arcane Intellect, and
he
figured he wanted this amount of mana.
And he had the out for Fireball this turn if he wanted to take it this way, but instead he picks up a Frostbolt and he's going to hold on to the Fireball and use the Frostbolt to clear there.
I don't think that worked out the way he wanted it to. That looked pretty awkward at the end of things. Yeah,
I mean, the turn looked awkward from the beginning, and...
Yeah, it's tough.
It definitely finished awkward. Azure Drake coming down for Tides of Time. So all Tides of Time is looking to do here is try and like stall out. He hasn't seen the Archmage Antonitis or the Emperor, has he?
Yeah, I guess they're both kind of stall. They're both thinking like, I've got such good late game. We don't have to do anything.
So his game
One of
plan...
them's right. Oh my god, the Purify.
There it goes.
It's good, right?
His own spell power.
No, yeah, that's good because he doesn't want the Excavated Evil to kill his Azure Drake. He's thinking ahead, man.
That's sick.
But of course, the Tempo Mage is clearing the Azure Drake, so that's not a real thing.
If the Tempo Mage doesn't clear the Azure Drake, then Tides of Time's Azure Drake's going to stick around. That would have been like the most next level thing ever. Yeah. Azure Drake just stuck and he's just like Excavated Evil heal Azure Drake, moves on with his life.
Gotcha, idiot. Told you Purify was good. This Excavated Evil, man. Brutal card. Look how much better it was than Holy Nova there. Holy Nova killing one thing, Excavated Evil killing all three.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And Ness finally picking up the value he's been looking for. He's saving onto both Sorcerer's Apprentices too. Is there some crazy sort of, is he gonna go like Emperor, a Sorcerer's Apprentice, Antonitis, and then just generate 50 fireballs? Like, is that the
Going
sort of game
infinite.
we're gonna? Yeah, infinite fireball approach.
Trying to think of how we can get more of these girls.
Yeah, if you
Maybe
just get 2 more, it just infinite
Just 2.
fireball. Just 2 more.
The girl's so good with Kabbalist Tome. Just get that discount multiple times in one turn.
Yeah,
But
it's
of
got
course,
some
he doesn't want to
shit,
expose the girl to trades and stuff.
though. Yeah, I think you fireball it. I think you just remove the minion, continue going with your slow game plan. Try to find Antonidas, make infinite fireballs, try and win the game. And Tides of Time is, meanwhile, is thinking, all right, I'm in a great spot. Tempo Mage is kind of slowing down. I'm at 24 health. All I got to do is, just slow down the game and I'll win. And it's really funny. Both players just want to slow down the game.
Who do you think does win? Who do you think does have the superior late game chances?
Well, Priest's late game chance is just stalling out, right? And Tempo Mage's late game win plan is killing the opponent.
Oh.
So
when you put it that way,
I have to
I'd
favor.
probably kill my opponent.
Yeah, I gotta favor Ness as the game goes later. Even though he is sort of the aggressive deck, just the way he has it built, these extra win conditions, you gotta think he's got an advantage as the game goes slower. And
But then again, does Tides have an is off? I feel like we saw that at some point, and then that is an actual game plan that wins, right? Like Temple Mage doesn't deal with an is off.
maybe if he does include the N'Zoth in his deck, then it could be enough to put enough pressure on. But Temple Mage sometimes is able to get ways to remove it. They get really good Kabbalist Tomes into like Kabbalist Tomes to get all the removal.
Start polymorphing all your death rattles.
Mm-hmm.
Mess up N'Zoth that way.
Yeah, that could be definitely one way that they can take advantage of it.
So you could just tome up to 10 cards here and then decide what to do.
Yeah, I think that would be the recommended.
Shatter might be relevant on this Injured Blade Master, just like a terrible execute. Sometimes that's good enough.
Yeah, sometimes, especially when you get the cards generated for, free. You don't have to put them in your deck.
Yeah.
Then it can be a little bit better.
Got a Frostball for that Shatter.
Frostball
No
check.
counterspell. Not that bad when you look at Tides' hand.
That could protect the Antonidas and the Emperor.
Yeah.
Like, it protects the Emperor the first one around, and then protects the Antonidas the second one around.
That's a sick setup. I like what you're thinking there.
Yeah, so it's just going to go...
Stick with the
Emperor.
game plan.
Yeah.
Do nothing and chill. Chill.
Now, Tides of Time has got to start getting a little suspicious here. He's seen both tomes. He's seen Ness hold on to, just oodles of cards right now. So you got to expect he's thinking, crap, I really need to pressure him. I'm going to die to infinite fireballs pretty soon.
He's suspicious, but he's also priest, so he just doesn't have any choice in the matter. He's got a heal pass.
Yeah. Ness is up to 10 cards. He's thinking about, he's just dropping down the Emperor. He's not getting a
Emperor
discount.
counterspell combo.
Yeah, he's getting this combo down. Maybe he's thinking it'll stick around. I don't know if I like
Discounting
this.
enough stuff. You don't have to discount the Antonidas itself if you discount enough other cards.
Yeah, you hit a lot of spells.
Does he have the second answer? Yes, he has second and third answers.
I guess
Good
debating
times.
whether or not he wants to entomb it or if he wants to death it. Or if he wants to Alkali Flash Heal it. He's got the fourth answer as well in there.
No, that's true.
All of the answers.
Turns out when your hand doesn't do anything proactive, it does have some reactive plays.
Yeah, so...
Flamemaker is pretty good, but we probably don't go for that game plan.
No, I'd be too afraid of Cabal, right? Like, I would just hold on to the Flamemaker for pretty much the whole game. Not allow Priest to pressure me back in any sort of way so I can hold on to as many spells as possible and make this Antonidas thing come together.
I actually don't like respecting Cabal these days. I think it's very much fallen out of the meta. Even when you do see Priest, I think they often aren't playing any Cabals. Stuff like Dragon Warrior and Druid just don't have a lot of targets for the guy. It is great against Shaman, which is top dog, but I think there's enough decks out there without good Cabal targets. It's a scary card to run even as a 1-of in Priest.
Sure, so you would have played the Flamemaker last turn?
No,
No, okay.
but I wouldn't have been scared of the Cabal.
Okay, you're just holding it for a situation where you can actually kill things.
Yeah, I don't want to smork the Priest because I figure his hand's got Flash Heal or I don't know.
Mhm.
It's just not a thing that I care about doing. I want to be patient.
Yep. Use your removal, slow down the game, find the Archmage Antonidas, generate infinite fireballs, launch infinite fireballs.
I like that both players are just happily using this Excavated Evil. Like, yep, clear your board, go.
Yep.
Oh, all right. See, no respect for the... well, he does want to clear. Missiles has to hit minions twice here to clear, which is favorable, but has a reasonably high chance of backfiring. That's why he's thinking about the Flame Waker.
And I mean, the thing is, the more spells he uses, the less fireballs he gets. Right now, if he uses missiles, he's got 3 spells in his hand. He only makes 3 fireballs. He can take the beating from this Alkali for a while he just waits to ping it down. So he's able to hold on to spells to get more fireballs because the priest isn't going to kill him. It's priest.
Good old priest.
And the Alkali's on the field, so it can't heal itself back up because it would just kill itself. So yeah, Tides is going to have 5 damage a turn to try and pressure down his opponent. Going to add the Priest to the Feast to get it up to 8 damage a turn. Start trying to pressure Ness down, but it's just such a pitiful amount of damage at this point.
So now with Priest to the Feast in play, if the Priest starts playing spells, he's nuking himself for 3 every time. Is there some way for Ness to exploit that? Probably not.
Not too efficiently. I mean, it makes it so the Priest kind of has to trade, like fairly trade into any minion he plays. But nothing too great. It does look like he's thinking about this Flame Waker coming down.
You could do some fireworks. He could play everything but the Firelands Portal this turn, right? If he goes Flame Waker, girl, spell.
Yeah, I really hope he doesn't do that. That is a surefire way to lose this game. Just missing out on so much Tony value. It's a lot of those went to face.
Do we know how many cards are in his deck? It looks pretty thin. It looks like that Tony's got to be coming up pretty soon.
Yeah, and we see a lot of spells firing off right now. He's only gotten 2 spells remaining if he plays that Effigy to go with the Archmage Antonidas. 5 cards remaining in his deck. Yeah, I like the ping pass. Like, the Effigy does get a lot of value, but is it a Fireball's worth of value?
Fireball's a lot.
Fireball's a lot of value.
It's like 6.
You just need 5 Fireballs to win the game.
Well, what if your opponent does things?
For their priest.
Yeah. All right, so how do we deal with this?
Sylvanas Death take something? Sylvanas Death take Flame Waker. It shoots the missiles, trade into 3/5. I don't even think that works. It looks like it's probably.
It says
just
after you
Sylvanas
cast a
Evil.
spell, right? It might work.
It might work. I don't think you need to overreact to this, though. I think the Sylvanas is a good body to have on board. You don't go death in your own Sylvanas.
Right. Oh, yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, you're at 28, right?
Yeah. And from Ness's perspective, it may just be time. He's actually losing a lot of life. Priest has 8 power on the board. He's got to try and deal with this board a little bit. Do you double trade into the Sylvanas and then just Firelands Portal to 3/5? That feels bad.
It's pretty safe. I mean, it's consistent with the game plan, right? Which is just stall until we Antonidas and make a bunch.
Yeah, I mean, that's the play that jumps out to me as the best play, but it does feel bad. Yeah, the other option would be turn on the Jets now and just Firelands Portal to face, go all face, see what Sylvanas does to us. But I don't like that play as much. I think it's a little bit more risky to start being the aggressor now. I think it's a good time to sit back and chill. And
so if we trade, here's another idea. What if we trade twice into Priest the Feast and play mirror images to try and stop the Sylvanas? The problem with that play is just like any AoE, right? Excavated Evil Holy Nova blows us out. Yeah. He goes with your first thought. First thought, best thought.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he had that first thought as well, and then he's sitting there like, wow, this is terrible. I really don't want to do this.
Anything else, please?
And then the rope hits, and he's like, all right, fine, I guess I'm doing this.
Yep, that's how it goes.
And Tides of Time is encountered a random 4-attack minion, and is
pretty good.
He's got to struggle with this one. Yeah. He's going to have to, it looks like entomb it, unless he wants to get beaten by 4 every turn for the rest of the game. And
this entomb, it means he doesn't necessarily have 2 answers to the. So if he doesn't lead with a counterspell tester, he could just have no answer to the Antonidas, could just lose.
Yeah. And there's no way he can know what secret that is because it was generated off of Kabbalah's Tome. So it could literally be any secret.
Right.
So who knows if he's going to be willing to, sacrifice a circle of healing to try and test for counterspell or what have you.
Can you make a read, though, that since he saved it for the Antonidas? No, you can't really, because you'd save pretty much any trash secret for the Antonidas. Mm-hmm. You'd save an Ice Block because you're not going to die. You'd save a Barrier because you're not going to die. You'd save a Vaporize because you're not going to die. Yeah. So it's just not that high of odds that it's actually a counterspell. He could get completely destroyed by this.
Yeah. And Ness has got to be coming out. He's got like 3 cards left now or something. that Antonidas is in there.
It's coming. Not yet, though.
It's like baby Antonidas.
He's taking his time.
Yeah.
Tempo Flamewaker? Maybe not.
I think you hold it for like a reactionary tool. I don't think a 2/4 trades with anything that Tides of Time is going to play, right? So I think
the Tempo Flamewakers, it's like a caster play, right? It makes sense if you can see Tides, and otherwise it's just kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, he has no idea what sort of trouble he's going to have to be facing in the future. I guess you could probably assume removal spell and AoE spells because Tides of Time has just been passing with these cards in his hand every turn and playing whatever minion he's top decked. So it's not that crazy, but at the same time, it's like, what does it accomplish? Like, what minion is Priest going to play that this Flamewaker is then going to be able to kill? And there's really not a one, right?
Right. It's not like you need to be pushing 2 damage a turn.
Yeah, it's just you don't accomplish anything, and in your hand, it has the potential to do at least something. If you need to like Hail Mary some Flamewaker trickles.
What it accomplishes by playing it is if the opponent doesn't kill it, and then you have like your Antonidas turn, it's stronger, right? But that's such it's just not a real scenario you should expect.
Yeah. You should probably expect it to die. And Tides of Time found another minion, going to be putting on the pressure here. Ness down to 12 health. If this Antonidas doesn't appear soon, he could be in trouble. Azure Drake with 2 cards remaining in the deck. If he plays that, he's going to have a 100% chance to have Archmage Antonidas the following turn. So I think you play it.
Yeah.
And then this might be the turn where you Flamewaker Frostbolt. Yeah, you just Flamewaker Frostbolt. Now the Flamewaker's on the table. You know you're getting Archmage Antonidas for the next turn. Your opponent's got to react to this, so they can't be putting too much pressure on. Oh yeah, Arcane Blast, of course, and then you can save the Frostbolt for the face.
Well, I mean, the Arcane Blast is cheaper, but I guess we have mana for both Sorcerer's Apprentice.
Yeah, all the spells cost 0. Every single one. He's playing another spell here. He's going to have 3 Fireballs limited to try and close out the game here, just so he can try and protect his minions. Little does he know, double Excavated Evil means all of the minions are going to die anyway, so that's just 6 damage discarded for Ness.
Wow. Tides just cannot find this Ness he needs.
Yeah. So Tides should know at this point that Ness probably has 2 Sorcerer's Apprentice in his deck. Antonidas.
Oh, he doesn't guaranteed draw. Oh, he nailed it anyways. He could have drawn Excavated Evil.
Oh, because of the double Excavated Evil. Oh, that would have been so dirty. But he's able to get it, so now we're going to see the Sorcerer's Apprentice come out. Both of them out, so we can play all 3 spells. And this counterspell and this effigy, those work so well with the Archmage Antonidas.
It's actually a little bit awkward, because with 2 secrets being played, it makes Tides more likely to expect a counterspell, likely to test it with the more likely to actually be able to stop this Antonidas.
Even if he tests for counterspell, and then
so rough.
Yeah. So he tests for the counterspell, that's out of the woods. Now the effigy blows him out because there's gonna be a 7-drop rolled here.
Unlucky. Alright, what are some nice troll 7-drops? Baron Geddon killing you 3/2s.
Oh.
Anything good? Oh, the circle's gone.
Yeah, the circle's gone.
I don't think we talked about it, but a couple turns ago, oh wow, just had enough. A couple turns ago, Tides of Time played out the Alchemy just for pressure, and he had a circle in hand that was then somewhat stranded as a result of playing out the Alchemy for like tempo aggression or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. And if he was counting, Ness's cards, then he would know Ness had 3 cards left that were probably Sorcerer's Apprentice, because you play that in every Tempo Mage deck, right? So there's 2 Sorcerer's Apprentice, and there's an Antonidas left, most likely, because he already saw the Emperor, and Emperor is pretty much always with Antonidas, right? They travel in a pair. And then there's 3 other cards left, because there's 6 cards remaining for Ness. So then you can assume that the last 3 cards are most likely spells, so you can assume there's about 18 damage worth of Fireball coming in. So if you're able to kill all of the minions on board, and the 2 Sorcerer's Apprentice, and the Archmage Antonidas, you win the game, because 18 is not equal to 30. So I think at that point, Tides of Time's game plan should have shifted from pressure into, all right, hold on Alkanized Circle for the combo, try and kill every minion. There's only 18 bursts this guy can generate. We can weather the storm. Our end game can actually win. And instead, he continued trying to be the aggressor there, and I think that was a little bit of his downfall. I'm not saying he would have won if he had chose to play defensively because of just the power of the counterspell plus effigy combo there, but I definitely think that should have been a pivotal decision point in the match.
All right, so we're going to Game 5, the decider, right?
The decider match, it's 2-2. Both players are left with the remaining class. Priest has still
Priest
not
versus
advanced.
Warrior.
Priest versus Warrior now. So, Tides of Time.
What kind of Warrior? I'm going to say Control. Nailed it.
Cthulhu Warrior. So, halfway nailed it.
Yeah. Harrison Jones, how good is that in this meta? Druid got nerfed heavily, that's good for it. Warlock got nerfed pretty heavily, that's good for it.
Mm-hmm.
Doomhammer is banned, that's bad for
That's
it.
bad
Doomhammer
for
is
it.
the best target for Harrison, right?
I guess he's expecting rogues. I mean, Tides of Time did have a rogue. He wasn't able to like line the warrior up against the rogue though. But
I don't even like Harrison against rogue.
There's a lot of paladin in the format.
That's true, that's really good for Harrison, right?
It's really, really good for
Hi,
Harrison.
Tyrion.
Yeah, you need it pretty much to answer Tyrion, unless you want to run
Sylvanas
or Overspark.
I like that, but maybe not in Cthulhu Warrior. You don't have room for that kind of tech card.
Mm-hmm.
But in other control warriors, I do like the Tank Master. I think he's pretty dank.
Pretty dank. Tides of Time holding on to the Mind Vision, trying to wait until he can figure out what's going on with this warrior deck and steal that priority card. Like Cthulhu would be a pretty good one sometimes.
No tempo Mind Vision.
Executes and stuff like that.
We still haven't seen what the Purify does in Tides' deck, but we have seen almost deck.
Yeah, it almost got value. It was really close. Is it in there just for the memes? Like,
Yeah, I think so. Cthulhu's Chosen is really good against Priest because they struggle to deal 1 damage, right? They just don't have a way.
They can't deal 1 damage and they can't deal with 4 attack minions. It's just a double
it's just
whammy.
brutal.
It's everything that Priest hates combined into one beautiful card. But Tides of Time has a decent play here. You can, sacrifice a Blade Master to get 1 back. It's not the most value. There you go. That's also good. You can Mind Vision the Disciple of Cthulhu. Just, clear that way. Yeah, I think the best play is just trade. Go for the
Onyx Bishop.
The coin.
I don't
Onyx
know.
Bishop.
Like, what if you make him work for it a little bit? Like, he's gonna kill this thing, right?
Sure. Just so you play Priest of the Feast, then just punch him in the face.
Yeah, F this guy.
Yeah. All right. I can get on board with that. I like it. Be a little bit more aggressive, knock down that armor count, making Shield Slam a little bit harder. So yeah, I think honestly, just because Shield Slam's a card, being aggressive in these sort of stages, even though you're not an aggressive deck, can be extremely beneficial. Like keeping that armor count low, making it more awkward for Ness to be able to Shield Slam off your bigger minions is pretty important, actually. You see the Purify go down.
So you can see why it costs 2 mana. If it's cycled for 1, it'd just be overpowered.
Yeah, it would be crazy ridiculous. We can see him playing it here with no minions to play it on. Honestly, almost detrimental on every minion in his deck to play Purify on, and he still includes it in his deck just because how powerful Cycle is. No way Novice Engineer could be better.
So Slam Trade is extremely good value for Ness, so is Disciple Trade, but he does have to, there is the concern of you're turning on Onyx Bishop and Resurrect anytime you kill that Blade Master.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not nearly as good as killing it against any other class.
Yeah.
Holy Nova. Top digged.
Yeah. That was pretty good. They're able to clean off a lot of the board, but
Justicar's the ideal turn 6 play. Like, just doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, and Ness is going to be able to start getting his armor count extremely, extremely high, and he follows this up with the turn 7 on curve, which is active, as Cthulhu is up to 10 already.
Yep.
So,
that's what he was thinking about when he played that Disciple last turn instead of Slam.
mm-hmm.
He was like, well, I'm playing Justicar on 6, so if I want to have the option to Shield Bearer on 7, I better Disciple now instead of Slam.
Exactly.
Smart.
Exactly. All right, so a lot of cards for Tides of Time, so many options. None are very good. You see him having to use an Excavated Evil just to clear off 1 minion. He can't afford to use a Shadow Word Death on that. His game plan as Priest is to save, Shadow Word Death and those kind of removals for the big minions, the Ancient Shield Bearers and what have you. So unable to really use that there. Probably not going to be wanting to death the Harrison Jones either for the same reason. It's just not big enough of a minion. Or maybe it is. He's thinking about it. He's definitely pointing it at it. So Ness can assume that that's a Shadow Word Death at this point. So if Tides of Time doesn't use it, Ness is going to be figuring that Tides of Time has the Shadow Word Death in his hand. It is launched there. Just going for the big tempo play here as Priest.
I mean, maybe he figures the late game's just not favorable for him. Do you think Cthulhu Warrior just wins the late game with all that extra armor from Justicar?
With the extra armor from Justicar, it is going to be pretty hard for Priest to win this for sure. Yeah, it's you get it to a point in fatigue, right? This is how the matchup works: is the warrior tries to take it as slow as possible, and then usually priest takes it pretty slow because they're priest, and you reach fatigue. And sometimes warrior's a little bit deeper in their deck because priest has ways to kind of like, add cards to their deck with Entomb or whatever. So they're taking a little bit less damage from fatigue there. But warrior's usually at about 100 health, which is unfortunate for the priest player. So the priest's at 30, warrior's at 100. They're slowly taking fatigue damage. And then once the priest gets around to like 20 health and fatigue, warrior slams Cthulhu and it kills the priest.
Boom.
So they just
the game plan for warrior is deal with every threat the priest plays. Make my Cthulhu big and never play it, and eventually just kill him in fatigue, one-shot him. Don't let him into the Cthulhu.
Exactly. So a lot of times the players, even if they're running the Brand Doomcaller package, instead of going for 3 Cthuns with Brand Doomcaller, we'll just go Brand plus 2 Cthulhu minions to try and make 1 Cthulhu that's really big so they can one-shot them in fatigue, and they don't open themselves up being susceptible to their Cthulhu getting entombed or whatnot when they try and make 3 Cthuns and all of that sort of crazy nonsense. They instead just make 1 big, 24 Cthulhu and then one-shot them in fatigue.
This matchup kind of highlights the weakness of Mind Vision because when you steal a card from Cthulhu Warrior, a lot of the cards are synergy cards that are individually weak as a priest card. Are a lot stronger on the warrior side of the table when they play well together, right? I was trying to think, this matchup might not play out exactly the way you're describing because Tides of Time's deck's a little bit weird. I think he has that N'Zoth in there, and so maybe that gives him some more hope of somehow killing Cthulhu Warrior. Probably not, because like Brawl is a thing, and that usually handles N'Zoth well enough when you have 100 life. But it's something to think about. If he gets a really good N'Zoth off, gets enough shifting shade value, maybe something works out.
Yeah, I mean, these bishops have been insane. That's like a card that wasn't around when this matchup was played, and that card is really taking care of business here. Just able to, put a lot of pressure out on Tides of Time side of the board, allowing him to push Ness down a little bit, even forced out a Brawl. So
that's a win for Tides, right? Seeing that Brawl. Tides is hoping to get both of the Brawls gone, and then all of a sudden his N'Zoth is very intimidating. So if he can just jam dudes and force out a second Brawl, he'll be very happy.
Look at this corrupted seer. Ness
he's got to have Curator.
Yeah, he's gonna have. Yeah, there's probably a Curator in the deck, and he's got lots of AOE, lots of removal, so you can.
I don't get it.
Follow through with
so
that.
It's good against Murloc Paladin. That's one thing it does, right? We're expecting a lot of Murloc Paladin in the format. When you play that Murloc and then it dies, it screws up the Murloc Paladin's anything combos. So now you just fatigue the guy. He can't kill you, right?
Exactly. He has Murlocs in his warrior deck to beat anything Paladin.
But the question is, what's the rest of your Curator package? Like, Curator's pretty bad in Cthulhu Warrior because you have all those 7-drops, so adding another one in Curator is sketchy. And also, you're playing a deck with all these synergy cards, so you just don't have a lot of free slots to play around with to fit in the Curator package. So that's it's an interesting deck building choice. I don't know how he did it. I want to know what his other Curator package pieces are.
Maybe he's not running the Curator. Maybe he's just running the Murloc to help beat aggro and screw
against Shaman.
Yeah. It kills all the totems for Shaman. It's just AoE warrior. AoE anti-Murloc Paladin warrior. You've seen it here.
Sweet.
I mean, it is a really good call, predicting there's going to be a lot of Murloc Paladin and Tempo Mage that is aggressive as well.
Yeah, Shaman that kills mirror images and 3/2s. Against Shaman, there's just a billion things at 2 or less health, right?
Especially, everyone's got to go the mid-range Shaman route.
Maybe Corrupted Seer is just a good card now.
Yeah, maybe that is the card of the format. Corrupted Seer just breaks out with the card bans, and it's just, I like it. I think it's good.
Ness at the next level.
Yeah, he knows what's going on.
Do you think he's got a Curator package?
I think so. I think yeah. I don't think he's just playing the Murloc just to play the Murloc. I think there's the Curator package, but it is funny to think about. If he is just playing the Murloc just to play the Murloc.
I don't know, man. I thought the arguments you're making were pretty convincing. It's not as implausible as I first thought.
Yeah, it could be. We see Tides of Time here just buffing, I think, both of his guys, because you just saw your opponent just halfway AoE your minions. So you got to expect there's some follow-up AoE to this. So
coming.
Yeah, I would like just healing them both back up to 6 and undoing what my opponent did the previous turn. But we'll see which way he goes with it. And maybe you add more pressure onto the board, too. It's very tempting to do so, like any other minion. And he's going to hold on to the second Power Root Shield. Yeah, that's
like
fine,
this.
right? Your opponent's not going to
minions, right? He wants to bait that Brawl.
Yeah, exactly.
Unlucky if the opponent has Excavated Evil.
Yeah. Excavated Evil.
Keeps being good against the priest somehow.
Yeah, the priest is trying to pressure, but has to use Excavated Evil in the earlier stages to be defensive, and then when they're trying to pressure, the Excavated Evil kills all their stuff.
He doesn't want to draw off Slam. He wants to play for Fatigue.
Yeah, he is committed to the Fatigue line, so it is what we're talking about, like the game plan earlier of just, one-shotting your opponent in Fatigue with Cthulhu is the game plan Ness is playing too. It is going to be
saw this. He made a face. This is an important moment in the game where Ness is announcing to Tides of Time, I'm intending to Fatigue you.
Mm-hmm.
Tides saw that and is like, all right, well, let's adjust the game plan.
That's probably why he didn't play the second Power Word Shield. He was thinking already, like, if Ness tries to switch to Fatiguing here, I can't afford to draw cards.
Right.
So, yeah, both players adjusting to play for Fatigue now. They've both committed, their early game push and decided enough of that. Ooh, Cthulhu drawn for Tides of Time. It's only
exactly
a 6/6,
what I was
right?
talking about earlier. Better for one side than the other.
Yeah, it's only a 6/6 Cthulhu at the moment. Or is it a 10/10?
I think it's a 6/6.
Okay. So it's not going to do very much unless he's able to also mind vision, Cthulhu cards or the Doom Caller.
So
he is going to draw the card here.
Maybe committing to losing in Fatigue and trying to win before then. I think that makes a lot of sense against Cthulhu Warrior.
Yeah, accepting that you can't win in Fatigue.
Yeah.
Or maybe he's trying to put up enough pressure so that Ness feels like he's forced to play the Cthulhu that's already in his hand, maybe. And then since he already has the Entomb, that can be a win.
They can win that way. Yeah, that's actually really good.
Because he's already seen the
or if he baits the Brawl, as N'Zoth could work, right? Like either way, it makes sense. Just pressure as Tides.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to laugh so hard when there's no N'Zoth and he's been just making up this fictional N'Zoth. I haven't seen it. I don't know what you're talking about. It might not be there.
Yeah, I might have made it up.
His whole game plan hinges on this card that's not in his deck.
But man, does he need it.
Man, does he need it.
Please have this off.
All right, if all 6 missiles hit.
Yeah, that's a clear.
I mean, maybe you trade in the 3/3, go for the Cthulhu. No, I don't hate it. Yeah, there we go. That's the most pressure you can put out this turn. And
unlucky.
Ooh, that is gonna hurt. That is costly. There goes all of his pressure right out the window. That 6/6 is now gonna just die basically free for Ness, and he's gonna be able to develop anything that he wants this turn.
Yeah, this is Cthulhu Warrior does pretty well against Priest, much like most classes and decks.
Yeah. The choice to bring Priest, it didn't get anything banned from it, so you think maybe Priest is good enough to see play in the tournament, and it appears at this point in time that all 3 of Tides of Time's losses are going to be on consequences Priest, but he could still pull it out. It's not over yet. It's just.
To be fair, this is just one build of Priest. If you play Dragon Priest, maybe things are different. I was playing some Hentai Priest with the Tentacle of whatever yesterday. I think I managed a 67% win rate at rank not even Legend over a small sample size. So the deck's probably awesome.
Sure, yeah, I mean, we have more Priest in the tournament. Tides of Time is not the only player that brought Priest. We have Chalky and Oskaka both piloting Priest as well, so, maybe they're able to do some work.
Maybe they figured it out.
Or maybe all the players that bought Priest will just get punished.
They don't want to let that unicorn Priest meme die. You're going to figure it out.
They're going to figure it out. Probably with less Purifies than Tides of Time, but holding on
pass. That's a good turn. Yeah, I didn't play the Twin Amps. Kind of interesting, right?
Yeah, he's just waiting for Brawl value, I guess.
Well,
he's saying, like, if Tides of Time commits another minion, I'm going to have a sick Brawl, so then I can just Brawl and I don't have to worry about it. He can even play Acolyte and Brawl to give the Priest more card draw to win in Fatigue better.
Yeah, do you want to, though? Like, that kind of play only makes sense if the Fatigue game is expected to be close. If you feel like you're winning the Fatigue battle easily, then you don't want to give your opponent card draw and increase their chances of killing you before Fatigue.
Okay.
So it's always a delicate balancing act. That's actually one of the things I love about Hearthstone as compared to a game like Magic. I think Fatigue games in Hearthstone are so much more interesting than they are in Magic.
Yeah, Ness really disappointed that Sylvanas is the minion that lived. He really wanted any other minion to live so that he could, use Cthulhu to clear later on, and Sylvanas just does the most damage, right? So,
I'm telling you, man, he's got Shifting Shade for N'Zoth.
Yeah, we could if he does have N'Zoth, I like Tides of Time's chances right now. The armor count for Ness is nowhere near 100, and
both brawls are gone.
Both brawls are gone. He's taken a lot of heat.
This could be a big strategic victory from Tides in an unfavorable matchup just by pressuring to get those brawls out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lining up the answers quite efficiently. Why do you think he's holding on to this Twin Imps so long?
Maybe he's hoping to brand it because those 4-attack minions are so obnoxious for Priest. Like, how does a Priest deal with brand Twin Imps?
I guess. I feel like it's just really good to just stop all of Tides' pressure right now by just jamming Twin Imps on the field.
I have to agree with you. But he's got something in mind.
Yeah,
it feels like every turn he's like one card closer to that brand, you know? He's like,
it's so greedy to wait for the brand, though. You're dying, man.
Now he's drawing cards. That's a lot of damage and fatigue. But okay, maybe all right. Shield
He's able to find the removal there. That's the second shield send. He hasn't seen a single execute thus far this game, so he knew all that removal was in there, drawing for it. But getting deeper in his deck's going to make it even harder to win in the fatigue game plan. And Tides of Time, though, is finally out of minions.
Oh, does he believe? Does he believe there's no Entomb?
I don't think he has to take that risk.
That's a sketchy bet. He did see Entomb last game, right?
Yeah, he saw Entomb. He knows there's Entomb.
Yeah, he was on a 4/6.
Yeah, I want to see him just play the Twin Emperors and armor up.
He could also just play the Doomcaller.
Yeah, one of those two plays. Not that play, not the Cthulhu. just put that card down, Ness.
Stop it. Maybe he's doing that as a bluff. He's like, yeah, this card's something other than Cthulhu. I could totally be thinking about playing this right now, Tides.
No way I would pick up Cthulhu right now. So
yeah.
That's not this card.
The mind games, man.
He's picking up every card now. He's like, oh crap, I'm signaling my cards. Better start.
Yeah, I've done that before.
They'll never read it.
Better start bluffing. This is an interesting Ravaging Ghoul. Just contest that 4/3. I don't know. I think I like Doomcaller. I don't think there's too much downside to it.
I mean, your opponent could entomb the Doomcaller and start applying pressure back to you. You get the Priest more minions.
But if he entombs the Doomcaller, then you have more freedom to play Cthulhu. I guess you just don't. Yeah, you don't want to.
Never play Cthulhu. He's just trying to set up. He's trying to set up a situation where Tides of Time can never add additional cards to his deck by entombing minions, because Ness is just never going to play a minion to entomb. So he's probably counting every single minion in Tides of Time's deck right now, and he's like, I have enough removal for every minion in Tides of Time's deck right now. So I don't actually need to play any minions for the rest of the game until I kill him with Cthulhu.
You missed value. If you play the Twin Imps there, you get an extra charge on your King's Defender. By the way, King's Defender, nice adaptation to the No Fiery War Axe meta. I like it. Really good.
Yeah.
Are you my master?
Sometimes you just need an Eaglehorn bow. It's good enough.
It is. It's good enough for Hunter a lot of times. There's two in every Hunter deck, right?
There you go.
You know, why wouldn't you be including that in your Warrior deck? So you see Ness with the tech choice there.
That's a pretty low value Circle of Healing.
So, the execute finally drawn. Saved the Ghoul to use as an execute activator. Gets the swing in there, not too bad. So another good reason for not playing Doomcaller is if your Doomcaller gets entombed, Tides of Time play to Cthulhu.
Yeah, that's pretty sick.
So, you know, Tides of Time would then be able to play the Doomcaller and get the Cthulhu.
Oh, wow, Gorehouse so good against Priest. They just can't stop it, man.
Yeah, that's insane.
Have we seen a Harrison from Priest ever?
We have not seen the Harrison from Priest yet.
Yeah, I think the Priest had to play against Harrison, but it didn't play with.
Yeah, Shadow or Death to Harrison, but we haven't seen one in Tides of Time's deck yet. And really well played by Ness here, just holding back on this Twin Emperors, holding back on these Doomcallers in situations that I thought I would have played them, but you know, he just
counted that value.
Yeah, he counted all of Tides of Time's cards, and he was like, yeah, I have enough weapon charges in my deck to remove every minion he plays, and I think I have enough time to get it done. So I'm just going to play nothing and make sure my opponent is unable to, you know, get value off their Entomb, and I'm able to, you know...
This actually works out badly. Double Excavated Evil is such a clean answer to this. Now we're not getting brand value on any Cthulhu buffs, and we're feeding 2 cards to the 2 Excavated Evils.
The Double Excavated Evil is so good, though. That adds 2 cards to your deck.
Okay, so we don't even care. Oh, there is an N'Zoth!
Oh, there you go. A good read on that. So, but the way that this does it, when you combine Bran with the help me out here. Just
Sorry, any Cthulhu enabler?
Twin Emperors.
There we go.
when you combine Brand with Twin Emperors, it puts out enough pressure that your opponent can't afford to entomb one of the Twin Emperors, so they're still not being able to add a card to their deck, which helps you for fatigue. They have to double Excavated Evil it, which adds 2 cards to your deck, helping you win fatigue. And if they don't double Excavated Evil it, you just play Cthulhu and kill them. So is it playing around Entomb here by playing into Entomb so hard that your opponent can't entomb?
Well, I think we've seen 2 brawls, right? So we just double Excavated Evil, and then the next turn we play N'Zoth with the intention of actually killing the warrior rather than fatiguing him.
If you're able to kill the warrior, then you're able to win for sure. Yeah, that is.
I mean, both brawls are gone. N'Zoth does a lot.
If you have to play double Excavated Evil, there is no way you can win in fatigue. So yeah, that's why Ness set up this play here to try and make it so he can't win in fatigue. Tides of Time has to do double Excavated Evil here. He can't afford to play the Entombs, and now he's got to hope that N'Zoth's able to get the job done by itself. Since
how big is Tides' Cthulhu? We saw a Beckoner from him, right? Is it at 8? So like if he entombed, 8. Yeah. So if he entombed a Twin Emperor, it would not get 2, just 1.
Just 1, yeah. But I mean, the important part about Entomb is adding another card to your deck to help with fatigue, and it's also just one more thing the warrior has to kill, right? So even any mid-range minion with Entomb is probably good enough.
Tank up pass, good turn from Ness. I like it a lot.
And then here comes the N'Zoth, and he's
Shifting Shades and Sylvanas.
Winces at the sight of the N'Zoth. Yeah. He's going to need to find that second Excavated Evil. I mean, the first one's good enough, though, right? He's able to...
The first one's probably good enough that he's not going to die.
Yeah.
He has Excavated Evil, a Weapon Swing, and Execute. That's clearing 4 of the 5 minions.
Yeah, that is beautiful. He's got enough armor to most likely to outlast it.
He wants to donate an Acolyte to fatigue him faster, is what he's thinking, but...
Yeah. And then he misses the armor up. I think you win in fatigue either way. Yeah, I think you're gonna want the life.
Need to donate the Acolyte. It's cute, but it's not needed.
Yeah, you want the life of the armor because you gotta imagine there's more cards coming from these Shifting Shades, potentially minions. It pulls a card from your deck, right? So it could be whatever.
Excavated Evil.
Yeah, it could be spending Excavated Evils, which would be unhelpful for Tides of Time because he will die of fatigue in that case. But whatever minion Ness has left, it could be getting that if he has any minions left.
We know it's nothing too good. Tides doesn't know that it's not the Doom Caller. He knows it's not the Cthulhu because he's seen that from Mind Vision, right? And he's seen the Twin M, so he knows there's probably nothing too great off the Shifting Shade. Ness likes the fatigue value. Yeah, sure, he's consistently greedy. I'm fine with it.
Well,
this looks like it works. I don't think he's dying.
This gets punished by Circle Appealing really hard, though. Now he has no way to execute the Sylvanas, and the pressure's still going on. I'm not a big fan of that play. I think it was a bit too fancy to get that Acolyte out there, and this could actually really cost him. There's a lot of damage incoming now. Doesn't have great ways to clear it. Tides of Time.
Wow.
Just shield blocks to get that last minion in his deck. Just fully go hard in. Yeah. Oh my god, the second Excavated Evil top deck for Ness. That's going to allow him to stay in the game. That's the best top deck right there.
Yeah, that's absurd.
I like that pressure from Tides of Time, though. Even investing in the shield block just to get that one last minion out there and start going ham.
Yeah, he understands that fatigue damage he's taking is just not relevant because either he kills Ness or he's going to lose to fatigue. It doesn't matter if he's taking extra damage. Yeah. Nice game sense right there. So what do we do here? We Excavated Evil, we execute Sylvanas, we punch N'Zoth. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, that sounds exactly like what we're doing here. And then armoring up and just hoping Tides of Time doesn't get anything that allows him to pressure him. Shifting Shades probably getting another shield block, right? That's like all that's left for Ness. Yeah,
there's only 6 attack value left on board for Tides. So I think Tides' Acolyte was reasonably safe. It doesn't look like he's close to dying to this.
Okay. Yeah, he's going to be able to stay in there. Well, is he going to be taking too much damage to be able to wait until Cthulhu kills him? Is he going to have to Cthulhu earlier? And
maybe run into Entomb?
Sylvanas gotten off the Shifting Shade. That is good. That is real good. The Gorehowl is down to 4 attack. Ness is going to be unable to kill the Sylvanas, so that he's going to have to Cthulhu into the Sylvanas. It looks like Tides of Time might have sealed this out.
Really? You think he's a favorite here?
Well, what does Ness do?
Probably, let's see. Yeah, the double Entomb's pretty strong. He plays Sylvanas, gets Entomb,
and then he gets to play another. It's over, man. The priest was able to out-pressure the warrior just enough.
All thanks to N'Zoth.
Yeah, the N'Zoth. Good thing it was there. We didn't see it in 2 games, but Zalay was like, I know there's a N'Zoth in there.
I believe.
and it was there, and it's able to clutch this victory for Tides of Time, I think. Wow, that came down to
I
the
don't feel
wire.
comfortable calling it. Like, to me, it's still not 100% clear. I just don't quite have the...
What? What is Ness gonna do? There's no tools
I don't know. I just feel like, to me, it still seems a little bit complicated. There's still some buttons we can click. I just don't see anything. You're right. But, like, what's that last card in Ness's deck?
A second shield block, I think, right? Or has he already played one?
I wonder.
Has he played 2 executes? So that's a card that could be a difference maker, right? If he's got an execute or a shield slam up. I think we've seen 2 shield slams. I know we've seen at least 1 execute. I think we
Right.
saw
So, like,
shield
if we
block
weapon the
earlier.
Onyx Bishop, and then next turn we weapon the Sylvanas and execute it, or maybe this turn we shield block into the execute.
Yeah, if it is execute, there is a world where Ness can come back in this game. I'm not sure what the card is, though, so it's going to be, if it's not execute, I'm not thinking of too many cards that can really make things happen here.
Man, Entomb's so strong in this position.
Yeah,
It's like incredible.
Yeah, when you're pressuring them. When you're not pressuring them, Entomb sucks, though, because they don't have to do anything. Yeah, and that
That's
doesn't
not
factor
what
in
he's
either.
looking for.
Yeah, that's not going to be enough to get it done. Wow.
This
How many
is what a
Sylvanas
sick series.
How many Sylvanas got played this game?
Let's see. There was
Like
1,
6?
2, 3, 4, 5. I counted at least 5.
Yeah, at least 5. Holy crap.
That's the 6th one, right?
That's the 6th one, yeah. Holy smokes. Yeah, you get it out there, right? You get
Man,
the
what a
pressure going.
series. Shake up Hearthstone. Interesting things happening.
Yeah, N'Zoth Priest versus Cthulhu Warrior, both nerfed a little bit, go into extreme fatigue and flip-flops at the very last moment. Warrior controlling the game all game. We were like, Warrior's gonna win, Warrior's doing great. And then suddenly Priest able to just barely clench out the victory, it looks like.
This is sick.
Well played.
GG.
This is gonna be a good Entomb.
He doesn't need to entomb it. He gets
Oh, he
it.
gets to keep it, yeah.
Yeah, it's his.
Good 16-16.
Not bad.
All right. Dang.
Wow.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was sick. So we have then Ness being eliminated, the open qualifier of the tournament for BatStone. He won the open qualifier. He had a good run. He's a really good player. You guys should check him out. He plays for Team Torpedo. You saw he played that series quite admirably. Played it very well. He's won Insomnia before. Yeah, that's his big accomplishment. But other than that, he always wins Swiss tournaments. I don't know what's up with that. I've ran like so many Swiss qualifiers, and Ness has won all of them. Like
He won Insomnia with Priest. He's
Yeah,
kind of
he
a
won
Priest
it-
expert, I guess.
Yeah, he's a Priest expert, and then now Priest has betrayed him. He didn't bring Priest, and now gets slaughtered by Priest. So
Ooh.
you shouldn't betray Enduin. Enduin will get you. But congrats to Tides of Time. Tides of Time representing Team Cloud9 is advancing on to the second round to play against either Super JJ or Tice. That'll be the matchup we have next. We're going to go to like a short, 60-second break while we get that matchup ready for you.